Hello, everybody. I hope y'all can hear me clearly. I'm gonna tell you right now, I really just am not really feeling it. Really, like I'm really not feeling going back and forth with anyone. You know how you have those days. I was really supposed to make a ASMR video earlier, but after the live, I'm gonna just be truthful. That live after at Brianna, I really am not feeling it. Um, you really don't know who you can trust a lot of times. I'm gonna say that. Um, you hear people and I feel they, they're playing in your face. It's just, yeah, I'm gonna try to come up here and do something that is building my confidence. That's what I want to do. Relationship advice isn't something that I need, to be quite frank. I know where I'm standing, and I know certain people do not care for who I am, and that's fine. In my gay lifestyle, they don't care for it. That's absolutely fine. That's absolutely fine. But where I want to stand now, that's not where I'm sitting right now. And I want to be able to get my words out just like anybody else. Everybody else, they get their point across. I want to be able to deliver just like that. But you can't do it without the confidence. That's why I'm sitting. I'm not standing. I don't have to stand in front of any man or any woman. The only one that has the command over me to be able to stand with them is the higher power that I serve. The higher power knows about what type of relationship advice that I need. That's the person. I mean, no, the being that can help me if needed. But that's not even what I want. So, so I won't get too deep into that because all it's going to do is lead to, I want to say, probably some fighting. That's where it's going to lead because I think certain people think that you lack intelligence. They really, I mean, just they. I think they do, and I guess they don't think that you hear what they said. I don't know. I don't know. I know sometimes I may reach a little further than what I need to. The day just isn't a day. I guess sometimes you just grow tired. I may be okay tomorrow. So to get my mind off of whatever, I'm just going to be reading right this book that I have not been able to read. Like I can't believe I have not read a book in quite some time. This book is No One in the World. And this book is going to help me build my comprehension. It's going to help me adjust myself for the world out there that can eat at you at times. No One in the World by R.M. Johnson and E. Lynn Harris. And I'll also be taking some notes and we'll dissect the book. Chapter 1. My opposing counsel was defending a 16-year-old boy accused of a double murder. My name is Kobe Aiden Winslow, And as I stood to give my closing argument, I told myself I would try to put this clown away for life. If it pleases the court, Your Honor, I said to the bearded, brown robed judge and the jury, I said, nodding slightly to the haggard looking 12 men and women who had sat through 6 days of testimony. Hey, self love yourself. Thank you so much for joining us, darling. Before starting, I walked over to the boy being charged, stared him in the eyes till he looked away shamefully. Mm. What's that? DeAndre Marquise Moore was his name. The police had him, I'm sorry. The police had found him a month ago hiding in his girlfriend's garage. He had been gang banging since he was 11 years old and had been picked up several times for truthancy and an assortment of other misdemeanors, but nothing ever as serious as this. The crime had happened on a beautiful Saturday evening. A 32-year-old father and his 7-year-old son were walking down Jeffrey Boulevard when someone wearing a hooded jacket ran up behind them. The assailant pulled a gun at the back of the father's head and pulled the trigger, killing him in front of his son. He then turned the gun on the startled child and shot him twice, killing him as well. Mm, this book is kind of rough. All right. There were eyewitnesses. Four separate individuals identified DeAndre in a lineup as the gunman. DeAndre Moore's attorney was one of the best in Chicago, a man named Milton Crawford. He was a handsome, white haired gentleman who had once told me he was practicing law when I was still just a dirty thought in my father's head. I wasn't sure of his age, but he looked to be well into his 60s. Since I was 32, Mr. Crawford was probably right. That's great for him to be 60, still quite handsome. Hello, hey there. Oh, what is going on? I'm so sorry, y'all. I'm hitting stuff. His firm did pro bono work for the community, often defending violent cases involving the poor and disenfranchised, like this one. Most of these cases were losers, but they kept the firm's name in the news and its phones ringing. Milton Crawford argued that his client had acted in self defense. Crawford stated that DeAndre had been deprived, destined to fail since birth. His father was absent. His mother was a prostitute. DeAndre had cared for himself since he was 7 years old, had no guidance, no love, no discipline. He was raised by the streets, taken in by a gang, and treated as a mascot till he became of age, at which point he had to commit to murder to become a member. During Mr. Crawford's closing argument, he leaned in on the jury's box railing. He was told by one of the gang leaders, and I quote, "If you don't do a killing, then we're going to do a killing on you." My client was only trying to preserve his life by taking another, Mr. Crawford said. It was that ridiculous defense I had heard. Let me repeat that. I'm sorry. It was the most ridiculous defense I heard. All it did was make me angrier and more motivated to put this boy away. It was my turn now, and I stood over DeAndre. I shook my head in disgust before walking back towards the jury. Kevin Jones and Brandon Jones, I said. Those are the names of the father and son that the defendant murdered in cold blood. Kevin had a wife and two more children, little girls, at home. Kevin and Brian had been forever taken from their family, from this world by, I shot a finger at DeAndre, by him. I paused to calm myself. Who or what gave him the right? His circumstances? Yes, he was raised in the streets. He had no father. His mother gave him no attention. He had to fend for himself. But do these facts justify murder? I paced away from the jury. Do you know how many children grow up the same way? Does it give them the right to take lives? Does it give them the right to act outside the law? It does not. DeAndre was given life, and with that life, he couldn't, I don't know, and with that life, he could have done whatever he wanted despite his circumstances. I cannot and will not suffer fools who let the hand they've been dealt determine what they will do and who they will be. And neither should you. DeAndre Moore was given a life, yet he chose to take two others. For that, he must be punished, I said, walking back to the jury box. I took a moment to look at each of the jurors in the eye, one by one. For DeAndre Moore, there is no other verdict but guilty. Hmm. Well, I gotta say, I think so far that was just chapter one. And, just in that case, I feel it to be quite a bit of turmoil. I do agree that I feel that the whole story is just aiming for guilt. And I do feel, as being a lawyer, because that was something that, I did have interest in being. I feel at times you may have to take on cases that look quite guilty, but in the end, you have to do the best that you can to win the case. Oh, y'all have to bear with me. My back is killing me. Oh, I don't know what that's about. So, yeah, that was chapter one. I've had this book for years on top of years, and I have not read it. I have not committed to reading it. It's ridiculous. Fifi, hey boo. Oh, you said where was this? Oh, Fifi, this is a book that I'm reading. It's called No One in the World. Yeah, it's by uh late author Elon Harris, and he made this book with R.M. Johnson. Oh, I'm sorry, my headphone fell out. He made this book with R.M. Johnson. Yeah. Let me see how many pages. Oh, we can get into chapter two too, you guys, because it's not that many pages. Chapter two. Not long after lunch, the jury reached a decision. DeAndre Moore was found guilty. He was charged as an adult and sentenced to 25 years in a maximum security prison. As I drove my Audi 6 Audi S6 home, tension from the day still coursing through my body, I thought about how if it were up to me, I would have put him away for life. Oh, yeah, so he only got 25 years. Well, at least he's in a maximum security prison. Yeah, Fifi, I hope you're doing well, boo. I put into the circular drive. Hold on, what did I put? I'm sorry. I pulled into the circular drive of the historic brick mansion I lived in with my parents. Work had been hard, but considering what was going on, I knew that today home would be harder. Once inside, I went to my mother's bedroom to check on her. I stood outside her door and knocked gently. I didn't want to walk in on her if she was crying again. Kobe, is that you? Come on in. My mother was standing next to her bed in front of an open, half packed suitcase, holding a lavender blouse up to her chest. Do I need this? She smiled, although her eyes were red, like she had been crying not long ago. Mother, I said, taking the garment, folding it, and laying it on top of the other neatly folded clothes. Just take it. You never know. Was work going good? Was work going? Oh, I'm sorry. Was work good today? It was work like every day. These things that people do. I laminated, and some of them were and some of them were practically children. I put a 16-year-old animal away today for 25 years. Don't call them that, Kobe. You don't know what they've been through. Some of them have some of them have no fathers. They grew up in foster homes, my mother said. Yes, Fifi, I really enjoy his books too. You said he writes good books. I think he was from here. Didn't he write about men on the DL? Yes. Yeah, Fifi. His book, The Invisible Man, was that called? I'm so sorry. No, it's called The Invisible Life. That book was so good. Social Scientist D, hello. Thank you for joining me. Good to see you. Yeah, I've read quite a bit of his books, and I read so many of them that I think I'm almost at the end of the list. And I really don't want to be. I wish he had so many more books because he is just such an inspirational author. Okay, here we go, y'all. I'm gonna read this line over. Don't call them that, Kobe. You don't know what they've been through. Some of them have no fathers. They grew up in foster homes, my mother said. It doesn't matter. It's not everyone had it as nice as you growing up. What if that was you out there? What if you were forced to? My mother reached for her box of Kleenex, snatched two, and pressed them to her nose. You were lucky, she said, oh, tears rolling from her eyes. Her voice trailed off. There was a chance, my mother started to say, but abruptly stopped herself. What was that you said, Ma? Nothing, Kobe. She walked away from me, blowing her nose into the tissue. Last week, my mother received a call from Alabama. It was from Uncle Carl, my mother's brother-in-law. She told me her uh, she told me his voice was sel- solemn. Mm. She told me his voice was solemn as he regrettably told her that her sister Rachel had died in her sleep. My mother told me she held the phone to her ear, starting, staring into the space before her, gasping for words that wouldn't come. She went peacefully, my mother said, Carl had said. I love Aunt Rachel. She looked just like my mother. They shared the same cornflake colored complexion, the same sandy brown hair, the same bright smile. The only difference was that Aunt Rachel was shorter and funnier. When I was a child, whenever she saw me, she would tell a new joke. If I didn't think it was funny, she tickled me till I was in tears with laughter. Really, Fifi? Oh, he was from Houston too? See, I tell you, it's just some great things going on in Houston. And Fifi, it's funny, that King Roman and everybody is over there in Houston right now too. I think they should have made like I, something to kind of go visit Elon Harris for all his work. I would really appreciate it if they did. Okay. But I had not seen nor spoken to Aunt Rachel in 5 years. She and my mother had fallen out. My mother had never told me why, and whenever I asked, she would simply say, It's nothing you need to concern yourself with. The funeral was to be held tomorrow. My parents intended to fly to Alabama sooner. Spent time mourning with the family, but the business, ugh, I'm so sorry, y'all. But the business demanded that they stay for a meeting held earlier today. There was trouble with the family business. Profits were down, our competition was gaining, and the future of the company's value was uncertain. Cyprus, my father, had even mentioned the idea of selling. The situation had to have been terrible had to have been terribly bad for him to think of such a thing. Whew. Y'all, I'm so sorry. I don't know why my back is giving me so much tension. Oh God. Our company, Winslow Products, were oh, I can't even our company, Winslow Products, was started by my grandfather in a single boarded room he rented back in 1959. Through hard work, dedication, and uh, anticipating the needs of Chicago's African American population, Charles Winslow grew Winslow Products into the most successful and recognized black hair care line in the country. I knew it would have killed my father to sell it. I lowered the top of the suitcase and zipped it. That's everything, right? My mother pulled another Kleenex from the box and pressed it to her nose, her back to me. She was starting to cry again. I took a step towards her. She held out a hand, instructing me not to come any closer. There was something gravely wrong, something that my mother was not telling me. I knew she was mourning the loss of her sister, but this seemed like something more. I stood 3 feet behind her, looking at our reflection in the mirror. I was tall, 6 foot, with an athletic build I maintained by going to the gym at least 4 times a day. My skin was not the color of cornflakes like my mother's or Aunt Rachel's, but darker, like raisin bran flakes. My facial features were keen, my teeth straight, my nose broad, my eyes jet black beneath thick eyebrows, and my hair buzzed low, razor lined, where just a shadow could be seen. Other than our differences in skin tone, I looked a great I looked a great deal like my mother, a miracle considering I had been adopted when I was 3 years old. Oh, really? Hmm. Mother, I said, my voice lowered. She didn't answer. She pulled away the Kleenex, and I could see tears in her eyes again. Ma, I felt horrible. All I wanted to do was give her a hug, beg her to please tell me what else was wrong, because I knew it was something. My mom could never keep anything from me. It was she who, against my father's wishes, sat me down when I was 8 years old and told me I was adopted. My father was a quiet man, a man of few words, but when he spoke, everyone listened. He showed very little emotion. I don't remember a single time when he hugged me. He had told me he loved me before. He had told me he loved me before, but I could never feel the emotion in his confession. It always just sounded like something he thought he should say. Ooh. To tell the truth, I wouldn't have been surprised if my father didn't love me at all. He had a few issues, like any father and son. Oh, hold on. He, oh, we had a few issues, like any father and son, but I was sure one day we were going to work them out. I had actually told myself that when my parents returned from Aunt Rachel's funeral, I was going to sit Cyrus down, whether the man liked it or not, and have a good father and son talk with him. Now my mother finally turned to me. Sit, she said. Your Aunt Rachel, 5 years ago, we argued over some money. It was $1,000 or something. She said she gave it back to me. I said she didn't. This family is rich. My mother chuckled sadly, but I had spoken to my sister in law. I'm sorry, but I hadn't spoken, but I haven't spoken to my sister in law. Hold on, what am I? I'm so sorry, y'all. But I haven't spoken to my sister in all that time for a lousy $1,000. It was the principle of the matter. I kept telling myself, but now she's dead. And my mother tightened her grip on my hand and wept loudly. Ma, don't. I loved her. Your aunt. She was so wonderful. 'I know, and I know you loved her,' I said. 'I know, and I know you loved her,' I said. 'I know, and I know you loved her,' I said. 'I know, and I know you loved her,' I said. 'I know, and I know you loved her,' I said. 'I know, and I know you loved her,' I said. 'I know, and I know you loved her,' I said. 'I know, and I know you loved her,' I said. 'I know, and I know you loved her,' I said. 'I know, and I know you loved her,' I said. 'I know, and I know you loved her,' I said. 'I know, and I know you loved her,' I said. 'I know, and I know you loved her,' I said. 'I know, and I know you loved her,' I said. 'I know, and I know you loved her,' I said. 'I know, and I know you loved her,' I said. 'I know, and I know you loved her,' I said. 'I know, and I know you loved her,' I said. 'I know, and I know you loved her,' I said. 'I know, and I know you loved her,' I said. 'I know, and I know you loved her,' I said. hugging my mother, feeling as though I was about to cry myself. She knows you did, but she's gone. She's with God, Ma. She's in a better place. I haven't spoken to her in years. I didn't say goodbye, and now she's gone, my mother said, pulling away from my embrace. I don't want the same thing to happen to you. I leaned away from her. What are you talking about? She pulled more Kleenex from the box on the nightstand, dried her face, and looked deeply into my eyes. Your father didn't think you should ever know this, but I don't want you to go through life without ever, without. Mother, what are you talking about? I begged your father. It wasn't right to separate you. I wanted to take you both. Mom, please. What are you saying to me? Forgive me, Kobe, for what we've done, my mother said, smearing tears from her eyes with the tissue. But when we adopted you, there was someone else, Kobe. You have a twin brother. Oh, y'all, this is getting pretty good. What did y'all hear all of that in chapter two? Oh, let's discuss. Ooh, chapter two is quite interesting. So we just learned that um Kobe, who is the main character, his aunt just passed, and his mother was terribly saddened by her death because apparently her and Kobe's aunt did not have the best last words to say to each other. And come to find out, he like she just told him that he has a twin brother. Hmm. Sometimes while I'm thinking about this, I feel like maybe she didn't tell him everything yet either. Oh, and we know that that the main character is adopted. Hmm. Yeah. So I know quite a bit of people, that are adopted. They may have different relationships when it comes to their families. Because you see how he said that his father and him, they they aren't really lovey dovey. Ooh, this next oh, see, look, this book, y'all, is a tease because the chapters aren't that long. So, it'll make you want to go to the next one. Oh, but y'all, I'm telling you, my back is just so. Do I have any aspirin? Um, mm, I think I had oh yeah, I'm gonna have to find it. I had some icy hat because it's really this. My back is really aggravating me. I don't know what that's about, but I am enjoying this book so far. I knew this was something that I had to get back into doing because reading just helps build my logic. It helps me to be able to get my words out better, my comprehension. That is what is important to me. Not starting up any relationship. Of course, I want to grow friends and stuff like that, but no, I'm not looking towards any relationship advice. Not at all. Oh, let me see. Can I do chapter three, or can I'm gonna do chapter three? Okay. Chapter 3. I marched down the long halls of my parents' mansion, my heels clicking loudly against the black and white tiles, the sound echoing up to the high ceiling. My mother told me not to bring this to my father. This is between us, my mother said, trying to hold me in her room. He never wanted you to know. In front of the door to his study, I raised my fist and prepared to knock, but grabbed the knob instead and pushed through the door unannounced. My father, the great Cyrus Winslow, president and CEO of Winslow's Products, looked up from his computer monitor. His reading glasses sat low on his nose. Why didn't you knock? My father, my father was a big man with broad shoulders. His skin was the color of peanut butter. His dark, wavy hair receded from his lined forehead. His face was clean shaven, and although very distinguished looking, he appeared much younger than his 70 years. Mother told me, I said, in infuriated, told you what? About my brother. I had a twin brother and you never told me? Don't you raise your voice in my house, my father said, taking off his glasses, tossing them aside on his desk. I've done whatever the hell I'll do whatever the hell I want, I said, no longer caring if he chose not to speak to me for days because he disapproved of me like he had so many times in the past. You kept this from me. Why would you do that? I said on the verge of tears. My father stood all 6 foot 3 inches of him. He walked around that big old desk. Sit down. I don't want to sit. The room was mostly dark except for the lamp burning dimly on his desk. The ceilings were high. The hardwood floor was covered with an expensive Persian rug. The room smelled of the old leather bound books stacked on the stacked on the shelves lining in his office walls. I stood before him, my arms crossed over my chest. Your mother and I had already adopted your sister, my father said, leaning on the edge of his antique desk. We wanted a little boy. We chose you. But there were two of us. Like I said, we chose you. Why not choose both of us? I said, my voice high pitched. Or neither. My father scoffed. Is that what you really would have wanted? Do you know how most people live? Do you know what's out there? We've given you everything, a top tier education, the freedom to pursue a career as an attorney. You have a $20 million trust and you're about to receive shares of this company on your next birthday. And you question me? Do you know the kind of life you would have been living right now if we hadn't adopted you? You would have been the scum you're putting behind bars every day. Oh, that's a harsh thing to say to your son. We've worked hard to get to where I am today. Oh, I'm sorry. I've worked hard to get to where I am today, to achieve what I have. It wasn't just about what you provided me. If that's what you want to tell yourself, son, my father walked back around to his desk. Leave my study and come back when you're able to discuss this sensibly. If you could have, if you couldn't take both of us, why didn't you just leave me there too? I know it, I know it's what you wish you could have done. We are not going to talk about that, Kobe, my father said. Mm. A tear ran down my face as I thought about that spring afternoon back in high school when my father discovered me and a very handsome football player from school with the body of a junior Olympic ath- with the body of a junior Olympic athlete kissing and petting in the darkness of the garage behind my house. Oh, okay, now I get it. I had been one of the most popular boys in my school at the time. I did my best every day to play the role, but like every teen, I had a secret. Liking boys was mine. And although I constantly tried to deny myself, the urge was always too strong. In the middle of our kissing and necking, the garage door was abruptly thrown open, sunlight invading the dank space. The stiletto of my father darkened the doorway. He stared at us with our shirts off, our pants halfway down our thighs for what seemed like forever. Then he simply turned and walked away. The talk did not happen till a day later. The conversation lasted for only 10 minutes, but there was a single message. My father would not tolerate a gay son. He was told, oh, I was told never to let him see evidence of that abomination again. I yelled, cried, screamed that I could not help who I was, that I should not have to hide myself, not from my own family. My father stared at me like I was a freak, reminded me of the warning, and then ended the conversation. He never brought it up again. After that day, you stopped loving me, I said. That's not true. You were ashamed of me. Still are. I'm the secret that would have killed your precious business. You're the one who wanted to pursue law. You didn't want to enter the business, my father said, because I knew you saw me differently. You didn't trust me anymore. My father lowered my father lowered himself into his chair, exhausted. He looked every bit of 70 years now. Son, I'm sorry that you feel this way, that you feel I treated you badly. I may have my ways, but know that I love you. I do love you. I looked hard at him, examining every line in his face, searching for the truth. All I could see was the same man I had seen for most of my life, the man I always felt cared little for me. Another tear, another tear fell. I angrily wiped it away and then said, well, I don't believe you when you say that, Dad. And to tell you the truth, I never have. If you want, I'll drive you and mother to the airport. But when you come back, I'll be gone. This way, you'll never have to see your abomination of a son again. Whew. Well, that's quite rough, you guys. And see, that's something I gotta say. See, that's why when you're young, that is when you can be permanently damaged by certain things. I would know. Kareem, hey boo. Yeah, so I mean, this was a lot for him to go through. And a lot so at certain times when somebody does pass away, you may get information. I don't know why people think that that's the best time to tell someone something that is very, disturbing. But I feel in certain families that is what happens. Like people feel like you're going through something that's tragic, so you can just go ahead and deal with something else and they'll lay something else on you. So did Kobe's mother pick the best time to tell him this information about him having a twin? No, I don't think so. I mean, it's just my opinion, but she probably could have told him a little later. I don't know. It seemed like at least the family isn't holding, I'll say, well, the father knows some, oh, I'm sorry, the father knows something. I wonder if the mother knows. But they always say mothers always tend to know if who if their son or daughter is gay. And I'm quite sure that goes with adopted children as well too. Tell her maid, hey boo. Tell her we are reading. Yeah, so this is very interesting. Y'all know, like I really like things dealing with law. And so I get law and I get someone that is kind of in, a little bit of, well, this is a gay lawyer. He's gay. Well, we don't know yet. I don't know if he's fully gay or if that was an experience that he had when he was younger. I'm quite sure the book is going to go into all of that. But it was a reason behind his father kind of giving him like a rough type of approach, because a lot of times when you do grow up with a father, usually a father wants you to be a replica of him in some sort or fashion. And sometimes when they find out that their son is gay, they know a lot of things may not work out the same. So this book is really taking it there. But I like the fact that his father told him that he does love him. And I think I believe his father, even though Kobe doesn't seem like he believes him. I do. I mean, I don't know the whole experience of what Kobe has went through. I've had people, like one guy in particular that I knew, he said he had a really, really bad growing up with his father. And this is a straight guy that I know. He's straight and he still had a very rough time with his father, to the point where he was trying to actually hurt his father very severely. But before he could do it, his mother caught hold of him and he ran away. But once they found him, because I guess he ran away to, I guess, to his grandmother's house or something like that. But that's when his father was like, that was the only way that he thought that he could treat him. I don't know. Sometimes, I think a lot can come to play when it comes to two parent homes as well as single parents. So, it's a lot to deal with. But this is very engaging. Yeah, this is what you get when two authors come together. It's usually quite a bit of nice drama. Oh, look at me, y'all. So chapter 4 is not that long. We're gonna have to go ahead and get into chapter 4. Okay, because yeah, it's looking quite Nice. Okay. Chapter 4. I had to get out of the house, if only for a little while before it was time to take my parents to the airport. I had a phone call, drove downtown, then pulled along the curve of the state building and wanted and waited with my hazard blinking. Oh, y'all, hold on. Let me say that sentence again, please. I made a phone call, drove downtown, then pulled along the curve of the state building and waited with my hazards blinking. It was spring, my favorite season in Chicago, and the May evening was a warm one. My sunroof was open, the windows down as a slow Mary J. Blige song played softly while I started down, excuse while I stared down at my hands. My passenger door opened and shut. When I looked up, I saw Tyler Haven Stevens sitting in the car beside me. As Louisiana state senator, oh no, I'm so sorry. As Illinois state senator, he was 6'1", 205 pounds, and his skin was the color of beach baked sand. His jawline was strong, and although many men thought they were out of style, Tyler wore a thick, perfectly shaped mustache. He looked like a black Tom Selleck in his prime, or a young Stedman Graham. He showed a smile of straight white teeth, but when he saw the sadness on my face, the smile disappeared. Baby, what's wrong? Oh, not baby. Stiff. Oh, oh my God. No, no, what's that say? Oh, stuff with my father again. Tyler looked Tyler looked out the back window for oncoming cars. Let's get out of this traffic and go somewhere we can talk about it. We finished talking in the dark parking structure under the state building. So you have a twin brother? That's great news, Tyler. Oh, hold on. So you have a twin brother? That's great news, Tyler said. What are you going to do? I don't know. You're going to look for him? I need to find him, I said, turning away from Tyler, an angry frown on my face. Are you okay? I haven't had an open relationship since I've come back from school to live there, all because I know what my father would say, how he would look at me. Over 5 years of over 5 years of sneaking around, I've tried. I'm tired of what's that word? Cash. I'm tired of Cashlantis meetings. I'm gonna look that word up, y'all. Then, then why stay? I told him I would. I told him I was moving out, but it's my home. I love seeing my mother every day, and even though he has his ways, I like the fact that he's there too. You know what family means to me. But if I did get my own place, would that change things between us? Would we come would we come out, announce to all our friends and the world that we're seeing each other? That's nobody's business. Then would you move in with me? Tyler looked uncomfortable when he said, "You know I'm not in position to make that happen. Not now." "Yeah, I know," I said, disappointed. "So I'll stay at home in the meantime and work things out with my father. We fixed things before. We'll fix them again." Oh, wow. Okay. So seems like Tyler is still a little bit on the down. I can't call him down low. He sounds like he's not come out yet. I'll say that. Sounds like Tyler hasn't come out, and Kobe was kind of forced to come out because his father walked in on him. So that's quite interesting. I wonder if his mother. I gotta go back and see that. I wonder if his mother was in the room when he had that talk with him about him being gay. Probably not. Hmm. But for some reason, I feel like that the mother probably knows. But it's def. See, this is right here. So I'm guessing Kobe. I may have missed the age, but I guess he's quite young. Probably just got out of law school, and he's already handling cases. But I think um, he's pretty fresh. For a moment there, I thought that Tyler was the main character from The Invisible Life because a lot of Elin Harris's books, characters that were in different books are usually referenced. That's one thing I love about his book is because characters that you really, really like, you may see them again. So he at least he has someone, you know, um, and I think, quite a bit of people go through that where they may be with someone that's not really ready to fully come out and live with another man or live with another woman, and really just not even let people know about it. So this is very interesting, y'all. I'm surprised I didn't really, really get into this book until now. I'm gonna have to do more reading instead of YouTubing. So yeah, this is we are on chapter 4. Hmm. We done made it to chapter 4. Where we at, y'all? Heck, I'm going where no person that has a bad back or having back issues have gone before. I'm gonna go through chapter 5. Here we go. Oh God, I need an aspirin. Chapter 5. An hour later, I stood at the front door hugging my mother as my father waited in the back of the large Mercedes S600, the uniformed driver standing by the passenger side, holding open the back door. My father had decided he didn't want me taking them to the airport after all. We'll 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 stand what's that? We'll we're oh no, I can't say it. We'll straighten all this out when we return, all right? My mother said, holding my cheeks in her hands. I hugged her once more, wishing I could go with her, but knowing my trial schedule wouldn't allow it. When the driver opened the door, I caught a glimpse of my father. I looked at him with an expression on my face, pleading for us to talk further. He looked away. At 1:24 a.m., I woke up, startled out of my sleep by a ringing phone. I rolled over in bed, clumsy answering the phone. My eyes were wide. Sorry. My eyes were barely open. My voice was groggy. Hello? It was my sister. She was crying hysterically. I could barely understand her through her tears when she gave me the news. At 5:13 a.m., I stood my arms tightly around Sissy's shoulder, the two of us waiting in the emergency room of the Indiana hospital where survivors of the Delta 767 plane crash oh had been taken. Oh my God, what? Hold on, what's going on? 160 passengers were already confirmed dead, but Sissy and I had not heard whether our parents were among those listed. Oh my God. Sissy told me she had worked late, like she already, like she always did, over at Winslow Products headquarters in downtown Chicago. She said she didn't walk in the door of her house till about 11. After having a drink and winding down, she sat at the living room sofa and clicked on CNN. The news of our parents' plane going down on an Indiana on an Indiana farm n- not long after takeoff were all over the news. She phoned me moments later. Phew. Now Sassy and I stood in the emergency room waiting for a close friend of our family, Roger Welkin, to walk back through the door. He was a police detective, knew important people working for the National Transportation Safety Bureau, and could find out whether our parents had survived the crash. When I saw Mr. Welkin enter the room, I could not read the man's blank face, but when he approached Sissy and me and politely asked if we would follow him to the back room where we could sit and talk, I knew. Oh my God. The funeral was held 1 week later at Trinity United Church of Christ on the south side of Chicago. It was the same church President Obama and his family had attended when they lived here. Scores of cars moved slowly into the parking lots around the church, while countless scratch limos with darkened glass slid up the curves, letting out Chicago celebrities and VIPs. To say the event was well attended was an understatement because my father was such high standing in the community. Everyone from Kanye West and Jess Jackson to Al Sharpton and former Mayor Daley attended, as well as members of the Johnson family, publisher, publishers of Ebony and Jet. As everyone entered, they gave me looks of sympathy, shook my hand, and hugged me and my sister. I watched a sea of people coming to mourn my parents, and was happy when I saw Tyler. He walked over to me, shook my hand, leaned into me, and whispered, "You're going to get through this. I'm here for you." Because my parents' remain, remains were not found, there were no coffins or urns, only two large portraits of my mother and father and a snapshot taken years ago that we had blown up. It was a picture of them at a hair care conference in Atlanta. They had never looked happier in their lives. Sissy and I sat in the first pew, holding hands. I felt her trembles in my I felt her trembling in mine, heard her sobbing, thought I knew she did everything in her power for me. Oh no, I'm sorry. Though I knew she did everything in her power for me or anyone else not to notice. My father had raised her to be strong, to never show weakness, and although she made an earnest living, an earnest attempt, the grief was too much for her to bear. The Reverend, a bearded, distinguished looking man who had found my father, oh my God, who had known my father for 30 years, had been speaking for only a moment, but the words of love and loss must have cut deeply into my sister's soul. Helpless, she cried louder. She pressed her handkerchief harder against her face, but could but she could not muffle her pain. Shaking her head, she turned to me with tears flooded. Shaking her head, she turned to me with tear flooded eyes and said, "I'm sorry, I can't." Sissy stood and hurried away. I reached out for her and considered following, but felt like I'd be abandoning my parents. I couldn't do that. So I sat there, feeling the tears crawling down my cheeks. I had cursed my father, told him I had never believed he loved me because he had kept me from my brother. He made me walk through this life by myself when I had a twin all along. But the loneliness I had then was nothing compared to how alone I felt now that I had lost my mother and father. Oh my God. Did y'all hear this story, y'all? So we done lost the mother and the father hmm, in a plane incident. Y'all, I tell you. So I guess this is one of Elon Harris's last books. So I see he's telling us that he is going to give us every bit of just straight author power. This book is already moving me. I find it to be very sad and tragic, though, that his mother and father passed. Like that, we just were getting to know them, and they already done left us. That's rough. I was really starting to, kind of like his. I kind of liked his father because it seemed like his father was coming around, as well as his mother, and so he probably is going to have to do some research to find his twin, but right now I know he's just devastated, torn apart because his mother just said that her sister had just passed, and it's like that you know how they say it's a generic curse or something. His mother said that she had said something kind of foul to her sister, and she wasn't able to pay forgiveness to her, or just kind of talk it out with her. And now he was in the same boat because he had a issue with his father, and now his father's dead, so he was not able to have any good last words. Wow, that's heavy. But I guess all you can say in these type of times is at least he still has his sister to hang on to. She seems very, very distraughted and torn apart though. So, it sounds like he's gonna have to be the strong one throughout this devastating matter. What a book. And y'all, this book name is No One in the World. So I'm telling you right now, I am enjoying it deeply. And we are just over an hour. I'm so happy that y'all were able to join me tonight. Um, I really am. I really am not feeling all that great right now. All I can say, y'all, is don't let people pick your friends for you. Stand true to who you feel to be your friend. Don't let a lot of social media dictate it. I know myself to be a heavy content creator within the social media world. Like I create quite a bit of content, but I'm starting to see that you really gotta separate a lot of your relationships from um, this application, because it can have you, or whoever you pick, um, as a friend, or whoever you come together with. It's not, you come together with, a lot of people's opinions may come into play, but I'm really starting to see that their opinions don't matter. But you got to stand strong in that. But this book is definitely worth it. I'm glad I just did something to help build, even though I'm not feeling that good. This is something that I know is going to help me, reading. Cussing somebody out isn't going to help me. Trying to solve what a person's judgment is about me is not going to help me. So I'd rather do things that's going to help me in my future. And comprehension, better building is key. That's what I am trying to build right now, because I do have a monetized channel where right now, like I'm just trying to make more money towards it, so I can build towards the 21st. So tomorrow, hopefully, I'll feel better and I can create content that I can get the type of 21st check that I'll be proud of. But I'm very much proud. This is going to be my second check towards my first monetized channel, and I'm proud of it. Yes. So this is all I wanted to talk with y'all today about this book, and whatever else I kind of got into. Please let me know your thoughts. Send me any comments if you can, if you enjoy this book as well, and we're gonna keep getting into it. Oh, we have a lot of chapters. The name of this book is No One in the World. It was time to get the reading. And the two authors are two gentlemen. One is named Elon Harris. He is a late author. And thanks to my boo Fifi, we know that he is from Houston, Texas. And we also have R.M. Johnson. He is an author as well. I'm going to have to look up some more of his books. Um, yeah, so y'all, this was quite fun so far to read. Quite well, I'll say engaging. Some of the things that's been going on in this book so far are, quite tearful and moving. But you're always going to get some good, great things from Elin Harris. I know that. All right, so y'all have a good night, and I'll be talking with you soon. I'll play some exit music, and then I gotta go find me a pain pill or something because my back is, oh my God. I get, maybe it's the way I'm sitting, but I don't know. Mm, it doesn't feel normal. Oh God. Good night, everybody. Sweet dreams. We are way out there in the middle of the night, aren't we? All right, everybody. Bye bye.